Here we go.
Here we go.
We've done this once in a bad job, so we thought, hey, let's do another bad job.
That's right.
That's what we do best. Oh man.
So you were well, we could wait till there are people here, but then why don't we just talk and then it'll just record it.
Yeah, we could do that. So we went to the fair. That's what we wanted to talk
Oh yeah,
about.
the fair.
Okay. I need to find that brochure. Um I went to man, this feels different being live, doesn't it?
Yeah, the pressure's on.
It's like, oh my gosh. Okay,
Do you
so
need to find the brochure? I can blab on about the fair for a minute if you need to find it.
Well, yeah, it's in my pocket, which I don't know where my pants are.
Okay, so I'm gonna set the scene. So this is like your classic kind of county fair of the olden days. And I love this one because it's actually small. And you know, it's easy to walk around the whole place and like find everyone. And they have a blueberry theme. So they have like a blueberry queen for the fair and blueberry pies and then the usual animals and rides and whatever. But it's like a small, sweet little fair.
Yeah. And okay, so I see a guy that I that I knew. I'm from canoeing, and I go over to say hello, and he was standing by the Republican like tent, but and then right next to it was some guy giving away Bibles. But I didn't. Anyhow, I just went over to talk to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, hey, have you met this guy? And I turn, and this guy is David Jones, and
Was that actually his name?
that's his name. It's weird. It's David Jones.
Okay.
Yeah. He's running for governor of Maine. And what followed was the most awkward 10-minute conversation ever.
Of his life.
Of his life. And I was just like, oh my gosh, where do I start with you? Like, first he wants to know who I'm voting for. I was like, oh, I don't vote, that whole system. I said, every one of them is just is part of this charade. It's all. He's like, well, if you don't get involved, it will be just theirs. And I'm like, theirs. I'm like, Trump. And I'm talking about Trump, Epstein files. And he's like, oh, Trump didn't go backwards. I go, okay, we can't talk about that. If you're going to say Trump hasn't backpedaled in the Epstein files, like you're gone. Like you are just, and he's like, he's got this picture of him with Trump. He's all proud of. And I'm like, oh no. People are saying hi. Okay, I'm gonna just finish my story.
Yeah, you finish. We can say hi.
So then I start saying, well, Trump talks about our governor being a man. You know that, right? He refers to Janet Mills as he all the time, and he's like, yeah, I know. And I said, and then we got Michelle Obama, and we've got Big Mike, and he's like, oh, I was like, you want me to take that system seriously? That's got a bunch of trannies, and I know there's more. I didn't go into, Melina or whatever her name is, and every single first lady actually melanoma. What is her?
No, I think it's like Melania.
Melania. I don't care. Made up Melania, whose name was I just realizing was a total like made up name. I was like, it's and it was a sexual thing. I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so. Okay. It's like, wow. Well, it was weird and it was
fine one to forget. Moving on.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys got? Anyhow, it was really awkward, and he wanted me to vote. And I'm like, no, I don't participate in this fake system. And then he gave me his card, wanted me to look him up, and anyhow.
No, but the best part that I thought was when he tried to turn it on you and he said, is that have you ever heard of
self-fulfilling? Yeah, he's like, if you don't vote. Oh, I said, nothing will change whether you get in or anyone because it's all rigged. I said, we're not voting. I said, nobody voted for Biden, right? Or not 80 million people. And nobody voted Trump. Our votes don't matter. Take them, tear them up, throw them away. And they do what they do. And he said, do you know what a self-fulfilling prophecy is? And I went, oh, gosh. It was so obnoxious.
Of course, you were giving him a hard time too,
yeah.
Ben.
I was not.
He deserved it.
I was like, I didn't mean to be talking to the guy who's running for governor.
Yeah, you actually went over to say hi to a friend.
I said that.
You said that, and
Yeah.
I watched. I was behind for some reason, and then I saw it take over to this guy, and I didn't even follow you.
You
I
saw
like
my
stayed
arms
a
going like
safe
this.
distance
Yeah.
away. I was like, I'm watching the children over here.
I'm either talking about chemtrails and my arms start going, or or politicians being trannies, but my arms go.
It didn't look like it was going in the biblical cosmology direction. I can usually
Wasn't
spot
like
that one.
Look at that. You ever been to the ocean? I was like, I didn't touch flat Earth because I was like, you can't handle that. I know you can't. I was just talking about politics. Politics is enough.
Hey, our friends from Freedom are here.
What?
We should say hi for a minute now. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Everybody's being so sweet. You tired guy and Linda, good to see you, and all these people.
Yeah, this is only like the second time we've done this, and
then Suds and Fluff. It's amazing. They actually live like we get to see them in real personhood.
Wow.
And they're on here. So
yeah, and we just had 2 times where we've met people that know us from online, and then we've run into them and they go,
oh, I had the most fun experience of that.
Tell them about
with somebody right out on Deer Isle, which is not too far from us. But what was funny is her daughter introduced her to me because we were already chatting. This was at a homeschool convention. And then the mother, who actually has seen us online, comes over and she's like, I know you from somewhere. And I was like, oh, da-da-da, we do a lot of homeschool stuff. Maybe we've seen you. She's like, no, I know you from somewhere. But then she had to go watch the kids. Then she comes back and she's like, Bethany. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're with Theron online. And I was like, yeah. Kind of like, is this going to go get her red? But it was really fun.
And so she believes all this stuff. Her daughter thinks she's bat crap crazy. Hey, you like that?
That was a good shift.
Yeah, I don't know. Are there children present? I don't swear anymore. And and how's our audio, by the way? Can you guys hear us?
Oh yeah, we usually get to check that, and we didn't even know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and people were agreeing with you, by the way, that voting doesn't do anything.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like a lot of people around us still think we should vote. I don't know if you want to go. I feel like it's acting like this really is a democracy when I know it's not a democracy. So the very idea of participating in their fake system to me is like, no, I'm not gonna. I can't do it. So, but
we did have fun making a big scene back in. Where was that?
Yeah. This person voted before they understood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did too. And
well, we almost didn't because we weren't wearing masks, and they tried to clear the building to allow us to vote, and they made this
shamed us.
Whole big scene, but they couldn't actually turn us away. It was really interesting.
We have here in Northport, we have a very small town office, and we went early knowing we were going to be not appreciated for not wearing masks, and so they said we're going to have to stop everyone. We're going to only let you 2 in the building. While at first they said we had to, and we were like, yeah, we don't. But we are going to vote. And then they said they were going to stop everyone, let everyone go out that was in front of us, and then stop everyone behind us, and just let it, tried to shame us. And we were like,
remember that poster on the wall?
Yeah.
And I started reading it. I was like, there, and it says, no one can harass us while voting. No one can make us feel uncomfortable. No one can whatever. It was like all these things. And I'm like, look at that. Look at it. And Theron starts reading it really loudly.
Well, they didn't follow through with their threat.
No, they didn't actually.
They actually let us then was like, oh, I guess we're just going to act like it's not a big deal, because it's not.
Yeah.
So who likes to talk about masks these days? Nobody.
Audio is good. Good audio. Nobody. Okay, thanks. Always tried to make you feel horrible for not voting. Oh yes. I almost got myself in trouble at the DMV. Speaking of that, Mrs. Jess says that because I'm trying to get our son his driver's permit, and I accidentally put my foot in my mouth by bringing up a topic that was on the ballot, apparently, but I didn't know it was on the ballot because I didn't vote or pay any attention. And then she's like, well, the main flag question was on the ballot. And, you know, that's become, because I was like, oh, that's a big deal now. Everybody's like discussing that. And she's like, well, yeah, ever since it was on the ballot. And I'm like, yeah. And I just like was trying not to get our son flagged or something.
Well,
just because they can't hold that against you, I guess.
They want you in their system, in their play area. They want you to believe their things, and you know, so they want you to contribute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Play along.
Yeah. So what can we talk about, guys?
Yeah.
We're kind of, it's a Sunday afternoon. We're just our children went to go play soccer, and we were like, okay, let's try this.
Yeah, right. We got some free time here. Do you want? Oh, is this Ricky? Is this Ricky that we know a few Rickies? Hi, Ricky.
Ricky. Okay. Satan just being.
Oh, I thought that was the other Ricky who wrote you, but
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever guys thought about Satan just being the enemy, not a singular being? We have thought about that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, a lot of times when you back way up to like, what's the deal? Why did God create? Was that a mistake to create Satan? Or is that just sort of the name given to free will?
Mm.
And what happens if we have free will? Then we can choose like the opposite of God. It would just be Satan. So is he even real? Yeah, I've thought of that. But
to me, that maybe there's a different way to think of it, but to me, that immediately belittles the entity of Satan and what he accomplishes with his theys and whatever, just to say there's a generalized enemy. I don't know if that's what Ricky's saying, but
yeah, well, and it's hard. I don't have any answer on that. I could see it being either way, but I do think Satan has his own story that has a lot of details that we don't know of. So I do believe there's a past to Satan that goes beyond what the Bible talks about. Before,
yeah, like when we studied what is that, Ezekiel 28, and looking at just Genesis 1, and
yeah, there seems to be there is I think Satan, and really when it comes to Lucifer, Satan, the dragon, the devil, you know, I think those are all the same, because Revelation sort of gathers them together and says the devil, who is the serpent of old, and Satan. But whether Lucifer's in the mix there, this morning we had a Bible study with our children, and we were talking about other deities and the fact that there are lots of them. And we started really naming them.
They were asking about other world religions and like, what are they following?
Yeah. So I don't know if Lucifer is the same thing, but I've always thought that. So I'm not very answering this question well, but
when there are mentions of other gods, and that psalm that mentions other gods, it does make you think of it makes me think of, I should say, many evil deities, not just one. But then I think of them all as, then do they serve this one figure of Satan?
Right, and you've got Gog and Magog, and all sorts of different names and people. You got the Antichrist, then you've got the beast.
Oh yeah, and the beast is lumped in that serpent of old list.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. This is a zero on answering. Just
well, we were just talking on the spot.
Yeah.
Is that Mississippi Terry? Asking about us
Mississippi
live.
Terry, I know. Yeah. What are we up to? I don't know. Okay. Do you still think that people who are trying to observe the law given through Moses while reliant on the Messiah as a mediator in times of sin as totally off base and heretical across the board? Do we still think that? Torah, I think that's like, what do we think of Torah?
Yeah.
Well, you know, so this is the Olaf Theron, right? You guys remember us from when I wasn't Olaf.
You know, the non-Olaf.
Yeah.
he's
I'm trying to bring it in a little bit.
Sometimes he's not Olaf so much, but we try to.
Yeah, I try to bring it in now a little bit. That's not what we do, but I get it. And I don't think it's how to go about it. But I believe there's plenty of people that would be willing to teach.
Oh, I'm sure.
But based on the Bible, I wouldn't know how to go about it. And personally,
can I say that we talk a lot about what is to us in our time as we look at the Bible and what is an example to learn from, but it's not like speaking to us. And to me, a lot, and I'm not saying specifically these people or your family or anything, but looking at the Torah movement in general, seems to me that a lot of that is taking from a time that isn't our own. Yeah. And trying to then put it, and I think all of us make errors on that all the time as we're trying to figure out what does it mean to be pleasing to God in this time. And just this morning when we were reading, what was it?
Luke 10.
Luke 10. And, a description of going village to village and shaking the dust and that kind of thing. We were talking to the boys about how that also doesn't fit that's not our commission. Not that we can't learn from it and be inspired to do certain things because of what the disciples were called to do, but that's not us either. Neither are we maybe to live like the Israelites of the Old Testament. So
right, understand, and people are going to get really nervous if we're saying the Great Commission isn't ours because that's like so anti-Christian. But we were really talking about how, first of all, when Jesus sent out the 70, there were quite a few sort of there's no begging, no, don't get down on your knees before these people, present it. But then also knowing that was they could tread on serpents and scorpions.
And they were told
and they
to
could
go
heal the sick.
Yeah.
And we can't do that. That was never to us. But Jesus does say, go into all the world and make disciples. So
but I think well-meaning people try and put on as much of that as they can and say, let's be missionaries and go. But there's these obvious reminders that we aren't them. We can't just go out and heal everyone and then tell them about Jesus. That's not what's happening right now.
Yeah.
No.
Our boys just all came back from soccer and swimming.
So yeah, I don't know if that sort of answers that. I think we're trying not to go around calling lots of people heretics in general.
Well, I never called Torah people heretics. I just that's it's pretty weak right now. Again, the new version of the Olaf version is a little more like I do really think it's important to know what season we live in, but whether you're still believe in futurism, it's just kind of a read your Bible and take it seriously, and that's all I can say. And say we're still got some things in common that are good.
Right.
We were just at the fair. We're just telling a fair story and meeting up with people that a family that we didn't know called themselves Christians. And we're like, cool. Cool. At least there's the Bible backbone to this family. You got to start somewhere, and at least they're not like, well, the Bible first of all. Wow.
Yeah, right. That was nice.
It was very nice.
And who's to say, and we kind of joke about keep them guessing because you might look at different things about us and wonder, wow, have they really fallen off the deep end? Or are they still like conservative enough or whatever, modest enough or whatever thing, or they listen to that music? Oh my gosh. And we're trying to realize that, like we like to keep people guessing about us. Also, we're not the judge, obviously, but these trappings of Christianity that we've been given don't tell the real story either of where someone is. Just like we know you don't show up on Sunday and somehow that like is a badge of honor. All of that has fallen away now in our understanding of like evaluating this. And so I think we're trying not to do that to other people too. But
right.
anyway.
Right. I
going
think,
on and on.
you know, when we talked to the McDonald's, I talked a lot to Mark. Oof, sorry, I shouldn't say names. Mark Forsberg.
I don't think
the
you
hockey
can
player.
fix it once you've done it. I think they said they weren't nervous though about that.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway,
He was Torah for 10 years, then became a little seasoner, then left it. I think if you did it that way and you became a little seasoner and then Torah, I would say, okay, let's talk, because that's interesting to me. But I think going from Torah, then figuring out that we're past this whole sort of church age really makes a big difference. Because then what do you expect? What did you think life was like during the millennial reign? Maybe there's some good answers that I don't know. Be like, well, during the millennial reign, it would have been very like Old Testament, like they really would have done certain things. And I admit, I think that the Feast of Tabernacles was Thanksgiving. So I do think we may be missing some things as a people, as a Christian nation, as a Christian people, not nation,
the
not
weird
nation.
political use of that term. Yeah.
Yeah, that we should be doing things, and I do think camping is probably one of those. This is because I like camping.
Oh.
But I think campfires and being together and like being under the stars. Come on.
These are all good things.
Can you not think our world would do a heck of a lot better if we did some of these things?
Oh.
So what's his name again out there, Sudson?
Nathan.
Nathan.
Well, we don't know if we might be talking about Martha.
Or Martha. You guys might be right about some things. You know, there may be some insights about like what life was like during the millennial reign that would extend into the little season.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond. I mean, we can't forget that afterwards there still is like Revelation 21 and 22 tells us some things that there's still 12 gates. Like, well, so the Israelites still matter? Like, yeah. I mean,
which tribe? Yeah. Yep. And isn't there somewhere in the Minor Prophets, there's something, I think the Feast of Tabernacles is one, but I think there's something else that talks about sacrifices or something. And I remember the Futurists saying that they were going to restart sacrifices in the third temple to teach people like about the Old Testament past of Jesus or so. They had some like super convoluted thing. We know the futurist part isn't right. But the passage from the Bible is an interesting one because it's like, I would have thought all of that would be passed for the 1,000-year reign, and yet it's mentioned. So there is something about, like you're saying, there's some things about what happened during the 1,000-year reign that may have involved
a feast again.
Feast that we don't even know. Yeah, so.
But we can't even find, like, just to have some of that feast stuff. I think, although there may be a longing for it, I don't know that we're going to achieve it until little season comes to an end.
Right, because that's always bothered me. We're staying a long time on this topic, but that's always bothered me that there aren't a lot of directions in the King James Bible about how to follow some of these things. Like you start going to extra biblical sources, which is something we also don't happen to like, in order to get the details on how some of these things were carried out. So.
I like this question. Who or what do you believe Gog and Magog are? I thought for a while that is the East and the West, Eastern world and the Western world, that are Gog and Magog. And they always, it's funny that they call it the Eastern world and the Western world, but they go out to the four quarters. I've understood that as like, well, even the compass and the quarters of the earth. I think this is really hard to explain without a visual, but there's a northern quarter, an eastern quarter, western quarter, and a southern quarter. I think they've done a little bit of a switch on that to throw us off the trail. So north is actually a quadrant. West is a quadrant. Okay. But there's also a pull that always, so when we look at a compass and we go, that's north, that's, I think, is part of the deception. Well, it's really hard. I could be wrong about this, but so I think those things are directions, but they're not a direction. Like it's a quadrant, northern quadrant. So it'd be easier if we called it like the X quadrant, Y quadrant, Z quadrant, W quadrant. Because we already have the false one in our head so much. It's like understanding like space, or we're almost programmed so hard to think of north as being towards that way and south this way.
Yeah.
Or it could have like a double meaning that's been lost. That it also means those things. So anyhow, I think the Eastern and the Western worlds rising up, come in from the four quarters, four quadrants, the four north, south, east, towards the camp of the saints.
Which that itself, the Eastern world and the Western world, think of how that makes no sense actually, because East and West in a compass are relative to your position. So supporting your quadrant idea would be that we refer to the Eastern world and the Western world as these like secure entities that don't move.
Right. And some of the directions, like they came from the north. I mean, they came from that quadrant this way. It's not that they came from the North Pole down this way. They came from the northern quadrant. Crazy, maybe.
We'll have to do some more visuals on that.
I don't know if anybody else thinks that. That was.
We missed one question. I think this one's a little bit. Are we living in the new world, old world being before the millennial reign, yet living in Satan's little season? We do believe in great changes since the world before the millennial reign, but not that it's a totally new world now, do we?
No, I think it's so interesting with new world, old world, because when you read Matthew 24, they talk about the end of the world. And our original understanding would be like, that's when everything stops. Jesus comes back, and then we live happily ever after.
Yeah, that was our old understanding.
Right, because we forgot to read the Bible and to go, but after that, the world keeps going.
Yeah.
Right? And so then the end, the world ended already. It's like, yes, that world ended, just like Noah's flood, that world ended. And then a new world after the flood. And it's pretty easy to understand, really. And I think this world all ends after the white throne judgment, and then the new world, a new version. But again, I think it's going to have a lot more stuff that we relate to than we think.
Yeah, with the New Jerusalem.
I bet it's still going to be like, whoa,
we're on the ground.
We still have buoyancy and density. Yeah, water's still flat. Imagine that. Yeah. There's no more sea, but that would lead you to believe there is water. There is lakes.
Well, there's the river that flows down from the healing tree and everything in New Jerusalem.
I think it's going to be a lot more organic than because again, I used to always think I'd be off exploring solar systems.
Explore, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be in space, right? That's what I thought God would. He couldn't have created billions of light years if he didn't want us going out and like exploring. Right now, I realize that's like the satanic sort of push. Like you go to heaven when you die. Now it's like the earth was made for man. This is our domain, and I'm happy with it actually, because it's right for us. And it was Satan who wanted to leave his domain.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's not do that one. Let's not follow that. Tyler Wood says thank you for the shout out.
Oh yeah.
And it was Nathan we were talking to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there was another question that I missed, but I can't find it. Oh, Gog or Magog. Oh, it's because you skipped ahead to that one.
Yeah.
Living in okay.
So yeah, I think we're living in the world. I think the world was remade for the millennial reign. That would have been considered a new world.
Yeah, but it still, again, is like kind of what we know of as the world. Just things being destroyed and melted and rebuilt. And
there are iterations that we can see back to. I think we can see back beyond Noah's flood even. There's some of the ruins you go, what? How many like ages back?
Yeah, like what we call like Aztecs or Mayan stuff, ruins.
Yeah. And possibly, I won't get too weird, but who knows what our world actually testifies to. Some stuff we go, how does this even fit into any of the biblical narrative? This doesn't seem to actually ping off of anything that we read.
You can give a specific example, or you said you didn't want to be too weird. I don't know what you're referring to.
Well, I would say pre-Adamic.
Oh, pre-Adamic type mysteries. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Well, okay, this is what I'm talking about. It's hard not to see that there were giant trees in, like, we used to live in the Southwest, Monument Valley, and in these huge, what they call volcanic monoliths, but really look a lot like trees. And it's hard not to see that and go, this sure looks like it was a tree, kind of like the movie Avatar, like this massive tree. And I wonder, how does that fit into the biblical story? Or when John Levi shows that these massive lengths of mountainside are actually bricks in them, I go, what extent of melt has gone on? Like, I realized that when Jesus returned, there was a lot of melt, but some of it seemed like on a scale that's off the hook.
Well, yeah, especially in the Southwest, where it's one thing to look at formation and be like, oh yeah, that's some melt, but then realize that's like hundreds of acres of that all together in Monument Valley or something. It's like, whoa, wait, what? But I always get a little scared off of that because so many weird new age things have taken the big trees and the melt ideas. And I had one new age friend come to me in a panic, wondering if it was true that the tree of life had been destroyed. And did I know, according to my Bible, about the tree of life? And it's like, too bad that some of that is stolen by the new agers. But yes. Okay. Live. Live excitement.
No, that's the same we do on our videos, baby.
Oh, well, every once in a while we can pause it in time.
Swim in the living river. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm taking a bath. I'm getting in there all the way.
Let's see. Last soldier. Oh, yes. Have you ever heard of the old Florida man who claimed the Garden of Eden was in Florida? Yes. Briefly, a friend of ours, I think Sarah had heard about that. Have you?
No.
And I watched like a couple minutes of some of his stuff. But we've had some fun looking into a lot of those suggestions of like, was this it? Was this it? Was this it? And because as soon as you realize that about fake Israel, then you start looking into all kinds of other options, and it seems like there's a lot of good potential places. So
yeah, I tell you what, Florida looks pretty close to the Garden of Eden to me. Some of those, like where you went to those springs.
I don't think you've been there recently.
Not the people. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Best
that's true. The
changed.
springs were amazing.
Where they're bubbling out of the ground.
Where was I? That was northwest of Orlando. It was just called Blue Springs or something, but it was really amazing. And it did have ruins around it.
Rock Springs.
I thought Rock Springs was closed. I had to go to another one nearby. Oh. But it did have 1,000-year rain type rock potential rock formations of, because of course there would have been some amazing castle by those springs that is since
right. Yeah.
removed.
Okay. I want to talk about Mandela effect for a second too. But first we can answer questions but just remind me, because I always forget my stuff.
Okay. Well, we might get more questions than we can talk about, but thoughts on hell, forever suffering. Oh boy, that's a big, that's like, thanks, Ricky. That's like 10 hours of material.
Let's bring up the hard ones. I'll do a video. We'll do a video on that sometime.
Oh yeah, because you started to talk about that.
I think you could make a case for either. But I'm a little more compelled to think that I don't want to be in the hell side of things.
Well, that wasn't a question, was it?
Yes, it is. What second, that lake of fire just non-existent, forever suffering. Like, it's very clear that it's eternally, but I think this is what I have done with that, Ricky, is I think about eternity as far as I'm only using my understanding of time, which God has a different understanding of time. because he's always been. And once you start playing with like what is eternity, eternity actually isn't a length, because it defies itself. If you spend enough time thinking about like how you'd ever get to the present, if you're eternally alive, you'd never actually get anywhere, because there's always an eternity before anything would happen.
Mhm.
And
That's
so
another one that helps if you draw it. But
yeah, I've done this with my children, just talking about it, but I don't know how to. I do think our understanding of time is for this time. Uh, and I think after the White Throne, what does it mean to like eternally be?
Mhm.
Um,
And the term forever is used a lot in the Bible. That seems to be more referencing one world to another, like a certain reset potentially.
Yeah.
But I wonder about that too.
yeah, I do think our God is actually. I do think that little season is the merciful side of our God, and so I don't think I don't know. It's too hard for me to talk about that. Just
Quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say something to offend half people, and I don't mean it. So I gotta say it well.
Yeah. We're trying not to fumble around even though we're live, but this one, I know we have some thoughts on this. Do you suppose they will continue to play out Revelation before the little season as long as they can, before people realize it's a little season, and what would the point be? So pushing the futurist narrative, we've experienced how that wears you out.
Yeah.
And we think that's one of the major points, right?
Right. Yeah, we spent a lot of time at Calvary Chapel, and I think there is such a high turnover in the Calvary world, because they get you all tuned up for the rapture so that you get burnt out after 4 years. I think that's about the time. And it's funny, is I keep seeing new faces in our local church that come in all full of like, just like us, like we're we hear these
Just
sermons.
1 year later.
My goodness, we're there. And we are got our lamp oils and our lamp filled, and like, and we just absorb all the rapture stuff. And then you get to a point where you go, oh, this is nuts. This is nuts. I can't live for 4 years straight, like thinking that rapture's any minute. And so I think those people are probably on hyperdrive burnout mode. And so I do think they're going to start playing those things out. But as they don't get raptured, I think the leaders of these churches will all push them towards following the fake version of Jesus. And that's what Tyler Woods was talking about. And I think he's right. I think whether there's voices in their heads, whether there's through the screens, whether there's some push to like accept this version of Jesus. We watched a movie last night called Spider-Man: Far From Home. And in it,
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it. The boys and I watched it. In it, the drones created a visual battle that actually wasn't happening. So everyone that was watching this thing unfold, in reality, the drones were destroying things, but this monster that supposedly was doing it all wasn't even there. It was all projection with real like destruction happening. But then they can walk, it'd be the perfect cover. It's like they get to destroy stuff and say it's something else. But I thought it's funny that Hollywood's given us this idea that they can
fake it all.
And I do believe they have the technology way beyond that. So I do think they could fake a second coming. And people like, I got a video of it. Look at this. There's tons of people. They actually saw it. There's testimonies.
Right.
And so I think it's so important that the Bible is your tether to reality, not what you see even, right? And that's a tall order, but that's kind of what we got to do.
Crazy. Mars, I believe the biblical lands, including Eden, are in the north, not down here with us. Yep, could be.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot more to the north than we know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, our old content was really north heavy.
Yeah,
we're really,
whatever
it is. Like I think I don't know what to do about. I don't think it's in Florida. I don't think Garden of Eden's Florida. right? I do think where the Israelites wandered was America.
Mm.
I do think that. And I think the climate may have changed because, okay, so somebody said, you need to talk about Svalbard.
Mm.
So Bethany flew to Svalbard. She went to 78 degrees north, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not supposedly, that's what they tell her. You don't really know where you're at. You get on a plane and you get off.
Yeah.
It was cold.
The compass said that.
What compass doesn't say 78 degrees north.
I mean, people's compasses said it. I mean, I know it's like that's all digital and could be fabricated too, but I'm just saying.
Right.
There was some tether to something, but anyway,
it's all very controlled out. Tell them your Svalbard. Give them a few. Do you guys care about
few
Svalbard?
lines about Svalbard. We've got a few more questions, but yeah, it's a completely controlled environment, and it was desperately harsh and cold. That part was immediately disappointing to me. I was hoping I could head for the hills and do some exploring and find some sign of something. And
right.
Gosh, at that point I was ready for like a bird to alight and tell me where to go. But it's so highly controlled. You can't even walk outside of the village limits without a guide and their gun to help against the polar bears. But you aren't allowed to have a gun. Only certain government agents can have a gun, and you have to pay them hundreds of dollars to let you walk beyond.
Controlled beyond
lines.
belief. You know, we read a book called Back of the North Wind, where it does get colder as you go north, but at a certain point you go through like this the back of the north wind and you get into paradise. So whether there is a zone that you pass through and it's actually pleasant, because what we ran up against the brick wall was that it's the harshness of the areas before, if it is north, are so harsh that it kills it. It is like a blockade in and of itself.
Well, certainly with children.
Yeah. Now let's just say,
sorry.
Let's just say the world is burning up, right? And we are forced to go north. That would be, maybe that zone becomes temperate and nice and maybe even tropical. The wall that's actually keeping us at bay. Think of how, if Jesus is up there, how wonderful, if we're not allowed to be there. And again, I think we have to be here. And I think to be like, I want to be over on the other side now is to say, but you have to prove with your life that you're, this is an important piece. This isn't like, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say by the time that becomes temperate and we can get up there. Am I sounding crazy? Sometimes I get going on this ice.
Yeah.
And then people go, they're unfit.
Yeah, no, finish your thought. Will be allowed to get to the temperate zone at some point, or?
Oh yeah, so say the Earth's heating up and we got to go, we're forced to go north. And so we're surrounding the camp of the saints, but not in an aggressive like fight, in a necessity, and then we can keep going, and they can't keep, I mean, they don't want to, but there they are, fire rains down.
Yeah, sure.
And but I do think if that happens, that'll be clear, at least to
that's the thing, there'll be an open path that's clear. And we, during the Feast of Tabernacles, during the 1,000-year reign, they all were supposed to go up and pay tribute, so there had to be a way, right?
Yeah. And
there needs to be a way again, and we tried pretty hard to find that way, and it wasn't there.
We couldn't find it. Yep. So wow, no more talking about North, Beth. You're gonna.
Oh yeah, we're really gonna get going
these guys
here.
Are like, they're crazy.
Yeah.
No, you guys already know.
Oh, this one. I think this one's pretty. What do you think about Gog Magog being in the past? The weapons described in Ezekiel 38, swords, spears, chariots, etc., are archaic for a future conflict.
Absolutely.
Yep. We don't think they're the same thing?
No, yeah, it's not the same. So just to give a 2-minute on that, and there's a lot of teachers right now teaching this badly.
Yes.
Very badly.
And that's how they funnel you into saying that we must be past the Great White Throne. But anyway.
Yeah. Ezekiel 38:39 was Armageddon, is in the past. Okay. Satan is locked and put in the bottomless pit. Then He's led up, and they come up on the breath of the earth. So Gog and Magog. This is round two. Round two. Okay, they've been dead because they died in Ezekiel 38, 39. So now a lot of them, the dead, have risen. Not the rest of the dead. These hell whatever. Hell's empty and all the devils are here. That's what Shakespeare said.
Yeah. Right.
Hell is empty and all the devils are here, right? So they're this Gog Magog, they're just doing what they do best, is coming up against the camp of the saints, and they're still the leaders of just like in 38, 39. Why other people get stymied on that, I don't know, but I just think for a moment I heard these things, was compelled, read them, and then said, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed easy to me to go, oh.
Be like, when's the last time we, beat our plowshares into weapons, or weapons into plowshares?
Right,
It's just like, oh, this can't be us.
And
this
it's
can't
not my staunchly holding to that we are in the little season that does it. It's just that it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Lisa had a comment about Svalbard, so I just want to go back for a second. She said something about firewood, and so Lisa pointed out a YouTube show she would watch of this woman who lived in Svalbard, and I actually did run into them. Well, actually, her husband I met. So they're real people in Svalbard making these YouTubes that have like 5 million people watch them, but it's all to be part of this controlled understanding of what Svalbard is and attract like tourism, and so show how like cool and harsh and beautiful it is. But these people are being paid to live this way, and what Theron noticed within 5 seconds of their video was they were pretending to heat with wood, and he saw this girl go out and like chop firewood. And how would you describe it? As like little kindling piece?
Well, yeah, I mean, so we burn with wood, so we know to stay warm in Maine. Your firewood is 24 inches long and it's half a log. It's huge. And she's making like fire starter kindling, but everything she does is kindling. So she's not actually heating with wood. And then somebody said, you can't actually heat with wood out there. So the whole thing's
there isn't wood. And get this, not only is there not wood and you can't heat with wood, there's a central heat system fired by coal. All of this owned by the government. All the housing is government owned. All the utilities are owned by the government. And they've shut down the coal mines on Svalbard. So they have to barge in the coal from foreign places all the way out to Svalbard because they've closed all the mines and they don't let people go out there anymore.
It's not.
So
it's
there's a lot hidden and a lot of mystery and a lot of control, but there was no light. There was no sign that should be pursued or that we should follow that route at all anywhere near there to get anywhere close to.
Well, we have to leave that to younger bucks that can go do that, because we do have we've actually came to a place where we put our children, we're like, as much as I want to push through, it's not, we have 6 children to raise, so
right. And we do also believe that if we were supposed to go that way, a way would be made. And so we explored enough to say nope, the way wasn't made.
No more talking about north.
Oh, okay.
Too much.
All right.
Let's see.
The
whole Israel dwelling safely in Ezekiel 38 is interesting, though. Mississippi Terry.
I don't know what he's referring to. Do you?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
No.
Amazing community. Yes, agreed. Okay. Part of the CIA, maybe not talking about the CIA. Oh, Linda, maybe part of the CIA. Yeah, could be. Oh, they bought another cabin on an isolated island. Oh, interesting. Well, they're very successful in their YouTube business, I'll say that. And they've figured out how to work with whoever to live in an interesting place and have it paid for. And they have a sweet dog.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I met the dog. Pet the dog. And
They're definitely, Beth came home disappointed, but also like there is something fishy. Like you shouldn't go to a place like that and go, this is fishy.
yeah,
It is
it was
fishy,
nothing
but
fishy.
we don't know what that means. Just like Greenland, there's like some fishy stuff. You go, does that, or the dew line? What the heck is that? But that doesn't mean it makes it any easier for us to go.
No.
We don't know if there were underground ways that, like, it is. What if it's always been gnarly to get through, but there's been underground?
Yeah, and there are all these underground. I mean, speaking of that, there are all these mines and things. I thought I would maybe be able to get in them and explore, but again,
Oh yeah, they have these vaults there that are supposedly for
the seed vault.
for all nuclear, like if there was a nuclear holocaust.
All the seeds are safe, Svalbard.
Yeah, you'd be like, why there?
But it's totally bizarre, like tourist trap thing. It's just this old like mine shaft area that they covered over with that cool like glass and everything. And then even if you pay, which I did not, you get on a bus that just goes. You can go like walk around the outside of it. It's not like you can go in it or explore. And
okay, Ricky keeps asking good questions. Is there an ounce of you that thinks we could possibly be the Camp of the Saints? And that's what that was our original understanding, and that's yeah,
well, we certainly have felt attacked at times, and there's things like that you wonder about. But the problem is that I think if you go too far down that line, you end up in Gnosticism and saying that not only are we the Camp of Saint, we have the Christ light and we have the divine spark and we are all of it, all contained in our bodies. You know, that whole thing.
But some people can do things that we can't do. And that brings us to Mandela effect. Thank you. She reminded me. You forgot to. Remember, I was going to talk about Mandela. So,
good. Thank you.
Some people can handle that. And as I read through the comments, I'm like, wow, we're in the minority to not believe in Mandela effect.
Oh, yeah. We have pretty worked out about that, huh?
Well, not worked up. Just some people are like, hey, I still believe it. And I believe the Bible. What?
Maybe you didn't post that video where we talked about it a lot.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. What? Oh,
nice one.
Okay, so I'm in the middle of uploading a video. I'm probably gonna take it down because it's not. It's called "Wash Your Wife in the Word," because somebody made this comment. They're like, "You're supposed to wash your wife in the Word, not deceive her with nonsense." And
he changed it to
not bathe her
in.
Oh,
he
man.
says this all the time. Right?
Yeah. Oh, here it is. David Jones. This is the guy I was talking about.
Right
here.
You were trying to find him.
And
his name
is David Jones. So anyhow, the Mandela effect.
Yes. Moving on.
It's one of those things where it doesn't make sense to me, but if you have arrived here and that does make sense to you, I don't know. I'm not like upset by it. I just don't. Lisa sent us a picture of her Bible. It's from 1804.
Mm-hmm.
And I could take any verse that somebody says has been changed and show that it hasn't been changed. But I think what they're actually saying, and this finally hit me, is it's not that that Bible says something different than what it says now. It's that Bible was then miraculously changed, and the words in that old Bible
have been changed too. Yeah.
And I said, okay.
Snap.
So you can't even disprove it. It's just like one of these like fun puns where you're like, you're always right then. There's no, and I go, well, I can't do anything about that. If
it's that bad that everything has been changed and we're just in some matrix world, I still don't.
Well, then we got to flex with it, and I'm still holding to my King James. I say, well, if the King James is flexing, I'm flexing. I'm just, it's to me, it's a living word. Then I go, okay, but I don't personally.
Living word. New definition of living word. It changes all the time. No, that's not what we're saying.
Okay. I just go. I don't buy it. I don't think it. But
and
it's the one thing that we have to keep us. Like say we stop believing in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Do you know how scary this world would be?
Mm-hmm.
Like at least we have a way to make sense of it. So maybe that's part of it, is like this fear of, if we don't have that.
Yeah, and I gotta
That'd
wonder
be
if
scary.
people push that to try to make us completely
Well, and
go
not to
off
say
the
that fear
rails, but
keeps us sort of in this place, because I just think this is a scary reality without our God,
yeah.
without the good God, without God at the end,
Mm-hmm.
who does love us actually, and if it's just all these bad players, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can quite handle that. So, man, it's been 55 minutes. This feels
Oh
like it's
my
been 15.
gosh. Yeah, this is crazy.
As you guys,
And the videos of the land of Gesso that Leaving Babylon put out.
haven't seen that.
Okay. Oh, the
Lisa wants to go
train to
north.
Quebec. We
So,
just
yeah, this guy I just met, he's a big canoe guy. He would throw his canoes onto that train, get off about halfway through. He said you can go 14 days canoeing without seeing a soul. You know what he told me? This is not Millennial Rain related at all.
mm-hmm.
He said on day like 14, after paddling in quiet Quebec, he's like, you'd be amazed what your brain does. It just taps into memories that you've never been able to pull in, words to songs. He's like, your brain changes, and you tap into like old memories in a way that you've never experienced.
Oh wow, I
And
didn't hear him say that.
I would totally believe that, because I've been on a 3-day solo experience, and after 2 days, your brain starts to crack. You're a little bit like jittery, but I imagine you go through some of these things. Oh, and it's fasting too. So
ours was not what he's talking about.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's talking about just removing all the noise, basically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and he said you got to let go of all the your responsibilities. So which of course you can't do when you're got a bunch of children.
But he was talking about that same train, so it got us thinking about it.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
again,
yeah. Let's
why'd you
go.
up there?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, Ricky's bringing up where it says Satan and then it says the Lord with those same stories with David.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I know those things. The Lord moved and Satan moved.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to relook at those. I forget even what I have said about that in the past.
Yeah.
But I remember looking into that. I will say Lord doesn't mean a whole lot of anything.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure people call him Lord Satan all the time. So,
was that one also connected to the lying spirit being sent by God?
Yeah.
And realizing no.
Oh, yeah. It's two parallel accounts of David doing the account.
Yeah, I know, but I mean how something that helped me understand it was realizing in another story with I think it was Ahab or somebody, God sends a lying spirit, and I think our understanding of who is influencing and who God allows is uninformed, right? Because we just accept these things like God is only good, and we're defining what that good is. Like he only does like sweet, loving things or something. It's like, well, if he can send a lying spirit, I think there's also different ways that he may have manipulated David for a purpose or something like that. So,
well, it's funny. The Lord's Prayer, lead us not into temptation. Well, why do you have to pray that? Shouldn't God always not lead us into temptation? But yet we pray, lead us not into temptation. Almost like if God removes his presence for a second, like we'd automatically go into temptation. So he has to like really shield us for that.
And then we have Job of like, God is in charge of what Satan's allowed to do to us. Terrible things sometimes that he allows. So. Whoa, are the Europeans the 12 tribes? Yeah. Oh man, people really, you're trying to get us in trouble.
Henry, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Could be.
Could be. Okay. Monopoly Man Monocle. Oh, yeah. Mandela. Okay. Sorry, I'm catching up from a while ago. Yeah. Some of the classic examples there for the Mandela argument. Okay.
The Father tempts no one. No, I wasn't trying to say the Father tempts. Lead us not into temptation, meaning if he removes, then Satan's there with the temptation. I'm not saying by praying that, though, we're saying keep us from temptation.
Mm-hmm.
Not that God's got all these like temptations out there for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, it's a good study to study who Satan is exactly, because he's the foe. And so that's a good thing to talk about more. What do you think? We're done an hour. That's about all we can do before we go. Whoa.
Yeah, you gotta be tired of us now.
Answers are gonna get worse and worse.
And it's evening. We do better in the morning.
Yeah.
Who knows what we've said?
Well,
well, this was kind of fun. I don't know. Have we done this once or maybe twice before a live video? Maybe we'll who knows? Maybe we'll make a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try to answer. Well, not answer questions. Just talk about things that you guys want to talk about too. I know it's hard because you're like, we can't talk.
Yeah. It's not very fair.
Yep. So.
But that's kind of all we've realized we could do is sort of the one-sided thing, sadly. And yeah, that's what we can give.
Right. Lord's Prayer has been changed. It used to say trespass, now it says debts. Well, there's two accounts of the Lord's Prayer. One says trespasses and one says debts. Because we've looked into that. Still does right now. So we as a family say forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Because I feel like that's but then you gotta ask why are those recorded differently? And I think that's to tell us that the exact wording isn't the point. And also,
in that case, we're not trying to say like the whole Bible or something,
right.
But in the case of how do we pray, Lord, teach us to pray.
Yeah. The exact wording isn't the point. That if it was, I think they'd be identical. But it's that model. And then Lindsay is pointing out, and I've noticed this a bunch of times too, is that thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Well, are we praying a prayer that expired? Thy kingdom, did Jesus' kingdom come? Well, I actually think that's referring to the kingdom of Revelation 20, end of 21, 21, 22.
Yeah, but it is still a good question because I've thought that with even give us our daily bread. And we were recently chatting about how not dependent we are on daily provision for food in our world these days.
Yeah.
So there's some things like that it was a different time when they first learned it, but.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're out of here, and we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your night.